Hi, I'm Janet Ferraro. Today I'll be showing you step by step how to paint this darling painting of the bunny and chick. When painting in acrylic, I always have a fine water misting bottle. This keeps the palette wet as well as the canvas. If you would like to paint along with me, check the link below in the description box and you'll be able to download the photo. I will have a complete list of the colors I use in the description below the video. But to begin, I mix up a shade of light blue using ultramarine and a little bit of Naples yellow. I decided to add aqua green to my palette just to give the color a little more vibrancy. Here I load up my brush with a mixture of unbleached titanium and titanium white. I love going back into the paint while it's still wet, and this is when you get the beautiful soft blending. This is a mixture of the aqua green and the unbleached titanium, and I've decided to lay the ground and shadow work at this time, and I'm going to unfortunately lose those little legs, but I will draw them back in when the paint is dry. Now I'm adding a little bit of Naples yellow just to warm up the foreground. I'm using a mixture of alizarin crimson, ultramarine blue, and unbleached titanium for the bunny's coat. This is the block-in stage. Now I've added a little bit of the unbleached titanium and white to the background mixture just to add a little bit of placement for the highlights. It's good to work wet into wet, and that is why I keep my misting bottle handy, and periodically I will mist the canvas and the palette. I added a little bit of burnt umber to the lavender mixture, and I'm going back and establishing some of the shadows. Now this is a mixture of Naples yellow with a little bit of the unbleached titanium, and I go back and forth. I do add a little bit of titanium white. I've also added a little bit of Hansa yellow when I want to brighten it up, so you just have to play with it. This is a thin wash of burnt umber and burnt sienna. And when I say wash, I did add a little bit of matte medium to it. You can also add a little bit of water if you'd like, just to thin it out and just establish where I'm going with the highlights and shadow work. The mixture for the eye is ultramarine blue, alizarin crimson, and burnt umber. I'm laying the foundation color now for the carrots, and that is a combination of burnt sienna and Hansa yellow. I do add a little bit of burnt umber in at times, and also cadmium red. Burnt umber to deepen the tone and value, and the Hansa yellow to lighten for the highlights. The markings on the rabbit's coat are a combination of burnt sienna and Naples yellow. Also, just a teeny bit of the unbleached titanium for the highlights. It also brings the temperature down, and it's not quite so bright. In general, when you do want one of your colors to be less saturated, adding the complement is always a good place to start. Another thing that I do sometimes is use either burnt umber if I want to darken it and dull it, or Naples yellow, which is a nice way of dulling it down but still keeping it in a lighter value. For the warm color inside the ear, I use burnt sienna, a little bit of Naples yellow, and a little bit of the unbleached titanium. And then if I want to go lighter yet, I of course add titanium white. You'll notice that in general, I like to use a larger brush, and this is simply to keep my painting loose. The lavender mixture that I'm using is Alizarin crimson and ultramarine blue. I'll add a little bit of unbleached titanium or titanium white, and sometimes I'll add a little bit of burnt umber if I want to bring the value and tone into a deeper shade. Now I would say I'm at the midpoint of my painting. The colors are established, and now it's time to add thicker paint. To do this effectively for me, it's still important to work wet into wet paint. So don't forget that fine misting water bottle that you have, and periodically spray your canvas lightly and spray your palette. lightly painting a mixture of the unbleached titanium and Naples yellow. And gosh, this little bird needs its legs. Here we go. I love using this 1-inch nylon brush. I don't know if you can find it at your local art store. I did find it online. It's wonderful in keeping the fur loose and adding texture at the same time. What I'm not showing you in this video is that I do clean my brush between color values, and oftentimes I'll wipe it first with a paper towel, rinse it with water, and then wipe it pretty firmly again with a paper towel. Everybody has a different way of painting. What's important is that we express ourselves. I happen to paint more loose in the beginning, and then I tighten up the details as the painting progresses. I personally like broken color in the background, and you'll see me as I add swipes of color and blend them back. And this to me creates a more interesting painting. Now I'm going back and forth with a smaller brush to give the feeling and look of the top coat of fur, and I'm going back and forth between the lavender tone that's mixed with a little burnt umber and the lighter tones. It's important not to be stingy with your paint, Load your paintbrush, and that's when you'll get these beautiful marks and actually shorten your painting process and time by adding thicker paint. If you have any questions at all about the process or the supplies, or just want to reach out and tell me how it went for you when you painted this painting, I would love to hear from you, so please just drop a comment below. decided to add some reflective color by bringing some of the background blue into the coat of the bunny. Maybe you notice here that I use a very light touch, a sweeping motion with a light touch as I'm adding the final touches to the bunny's coat. Well, I think this painting is about finished. If you like this video, please subscribe to my channel, like the video, and I will see you back here really soon. And don't forget to check the description box below for the supplies and links to the photo. Thank you so much.